Hey guys, welcome to another book haul. Now the fun thing is always trying to see if I can hold all the books at one time. And if I can't, maybe the haul is too big. And this time, maybe the haul is too big. So close. Okay, that's resting on my knee. Can I pick it up? Whoa. There it is. Well, good thing they weren't really in any particular order. Okay, so today's book haul is mostly... No, wait. The books are all from BookOutlet. I had a bunch of credits because if people use my link, then they get $10 off their first order and I get $10 off my next order. And yeah, you can combine those. So I did a few orders that were like $20 worth of books multiple times. And a tip for any of my Canadian friends, like I know most of the people that watch my videos are from the US, but if you're from Canada, still order from the American site, especially if you're either using the $10 off, like if you're using my $10 off link, or you want to refer people to BookOutlet so that you can get referral credits as well, because it's $10 either American or Canadian, and $10 American is worth more. So I always order off the American site. They actually ship out of the same location anyway. It doesn't make any difference. My theory is always order off of the American site because then you get more for your money. So, like I said, I used a lot of credits, but also Becca from Hicks Picks Books was wonderful, and she sent me a BookOutlet gift card, and I bought these books. Actually, I've been doing pretty well this time with like buying books that I've either read before or I've read from the author before, but there were definitely a few that snuck in that didn't quite fit with my goal, but whatever. The first one actually didn't fit with this goal. The Wollstone Craft Detective Agency. So this is like Ada Lovelace and, well, her when it's Ada Byron, so that's her like maiden name, and Mary Goodwin. I don't remember who Mary Goodwin ends up being. But if they were a detective, if they were friends, first of all, and they were like young kids and they were detectives, this is the case of the missing moonstone. So this is book one. I've heard good things about this. I think Tiffany from Beautiful Minutia talked about it. And yeah, it just looks like a short little middle grade book that I might try to get to in March here yet. Then this one I already read. This is Case Closed, Mystery in the Mansion. This is like a choose your own adventure middle grade story. I just started reading this out loud to my kids today, and I talked about this in my mid-month wrap-up. There's one character in here who drives me nuts. He's a 6-year-old boy and he's so annoying, and my kids love him. They're just like laughing at everything he says. Yeah, so we are currently reading this, and I did read it once through myself, but like we're totally following a different path now. And then this is a book that I have not read. I've not read anything by this author. But I've heard such good things about Song for a Whale. I think this is about a deaf boy? I'm not even sure. I just have heard good things. And also, I forgot. I want to try to read the first sentence of each of these books. So let's backtrack. The Detective Agency, The Case of the Missing Moonstone. Go to chapter 1. Force equals mass times acceleration, muttered Ada as she wrote in her notebook. That sounds nerdy. Case closed. Oh, the first sentence is ring. And, okay, Song for a Whale. So I obviously don't know. He keeps singing the song and everything in the ocean swims by him like he's not there. He thinks no one understands him. I want to let him know he's wrong about that. Oh yeah, okay, so I think it's about a deaf girl and a whale of some sort. Until last summer, I thought the only thing I had in common with that whale on the beach was a name. Oh, interesting. Yeah, and I love the hardcover books that don't have the dust jackets, but like have the picture on the hardcover, whatever that's called. These are like my favorite kind of books. Then another one I've read is The Book Wanderers. I originally read this before it had this title. It was Tilly and the Book Wanderers. It's the Pages & Co. series. It's about a girl who lives in a bookstore with her grandparents, and characters end up coming out of books, and I like that kind of thing. Yeah, I read this one a couple years ago. I think book 3 is actually coming out this year, and it has cute little illustrations in it. Or at least the copy that I read did. I wonder, are they different? This one, oh yeah, okay, here. It's got like, I thought there was bigger ones though too. There's a couple bigger ones. So the first line in this one is, Matilda Pages pushed open the door of Pages & Co. and breathed in deeply, taking in the familiar scent of just blown out candles, dark chocolate, and of course, books. That actually sounds like a delicious scent. Yeah, so I want my daughter to read this one, and I want to read the other books in the series as well. Oh, I'm really excited about this book, you guys. If you've been here for the last few months, look at this. This is called The Kingdom of the Cults Handbook. So this book was originally published in 1960, and I'm assuming this is an updated version. 2019. And, oh, so it's copyright 2019 by the estate of Walter Martin. So I'm assuming he passed away, but his family has republished it. So it talks about all different cults, and talks about the key differences between true Christianity and other belief systems. So according to the table of contents, they go into kind of like an intro, then they do Jehovah's Witnesses, Christian Science, Mormonism, Spiritism, Theosophical Society, Buddhism, Unity School of Christianity, Worldwide Church of God, Grace Communion International, Unification Church, Scientology, Eastern Religions, Islam, the Jesus of the Cults. Oh, I'm assuming that's not an actual cult. And then cult evangelism. So yeah, I've been enjoying cult books, and I've always been interested in other religions because sometimes it's hard to know how to talk to someone that believes something else if you don't know what they believe. Like we will often get, like pre-COVID times, Jehovah's Witnesses. I was nice to these little old ladies, and I guess they just thought I gave them bonus points or something, so they kept coming back to my door. But often like the things that they say, it's like, yeah, that's right, or like, yeah, you read that from the Bible, but like everything else is wrong. I don't know. So I'm excited to learn about other religions and then how that relates to Christianity. Oh, should I read the first sentence of nonfiction? This might be dry. It has been said of the United States that it is the great melting pot for the people of the world. Yeah. Okay. And another book I'm so excited about. This is A Waking Wonder. This is one I wanted to read this year, and BookOutlet had it. So this is Opening Your Child's Heart to the Beauty of Learning. I have not read all of Sally Clarkson's books, but I just started re-listening to her podcast, or started again listening to her podcast. I've just taken a break from podcasts because I do that every now and then. Side note, I'm looking for some good podcasts to listen to. If you have suggestions, please let me know. I like Christian podcasts that are rooted in the gospel, but I really don't like podcasts that interview a different person every time. For the most part, I like, 2 to 4 people that are always on there. And if they want to interview someone like once a month, that'd be great. I used to really love the At Home podcast that had like Kristen Rogers and Greta Eskridge and a bunch of ladies. And I wish something like that existed again, or I knew about it. Anyway, I do like Sally Clarkson's podcast. She is a little bit, I appreciate her. She makes me feel restful, but sometimes she also feels a little bit like a scattered old lady. But I can deal with that because I like her. So this book is a little damaged. I've got kind of like some pages that got crinkled, but it actually is pretty much just the dedication. Yeah, and I don't really know what this is all about. Journey with Sally toward cultivating wonder all around you alongside your children, understanding how to open your children's hearts and minds to the grand design, beauty, and goodness scattered throughout the universe, laying a foundation for spiritual formation and robust faith in God. Nurture your children to live into their capacity in intellect, faith, and relationships. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just excited. I feel like this is where, I don't know, this is the book that I need to be reading right now. Okay. Pretty much by the time that chapter 1 starts, that's the last, like, kind of record page here. First sentence. Memorable and momentous occasions rarely announce themselves ahead of time, but often tiptoe quietly into the corners of our lives and yet leave a profound influence. Yeah, the first sentence of nonfiction is usually kind of dry. Hey. Oh, I was going to take the dust jacket off, you guys. This is, like, actually damaged. I don't know if I knew that I was buying a damaged book. At least not, like, that. I'm going to have to look that up. Okay, now the rest were just BookOutlet bought off of credits. The first one here I really want to read, The Westing Game. This is middle grade, about, I think it sounded like a lot like the Inheritance games, which I started and haven't finished. It's about it doesn't say anything there. A rich man, he has this money and he's chosen a virtual stranger and possible murderer to inherit his vast fortune. But he's playing a game for it. I don't know. Lots of people have recommended this book to me, so I want to read it soon. The sun sets in the west. Just about everyone knows that. But Sunset Towers faced east. Then I got a number of Agatha Christie that I don't own. And of course they're like, you know, not in order here. The pile fell. So, Death Comes as the End. This one doesn't have a particular detective. And sounds like this one takes place in Egypt. So, let's see here. Oh man, there's a name. I think this is a name. Reneseb stood looking over the Nile. This takes place on the west bank of the Nile in 200 BC. Okay, so this is like very different than Agatha Christie's Norm. So that'll be interesting. Then I've got Nemesis. This one is a Miss Marple book. Sweet. In utter disbelief, Miss Marple read the letter addressed to her from the recently deceased Mr. Raphael, an acquaintance she had met briefly on her travels. He had left instructions for her to investigate a crime after his death. That sounds fun. In the afternoons, it was the custom of Miss Jane Marple to unfold her second newspaper. Miss Marple and, like, Sally Clarkson just kind of have the same vibe to me. I mean, she's solving murders and, like, Sally's got a ministry towards women and stuff. But I don't know, they just got that same, like, sweet old lady vibe. Okay, then there are a few books in here that I bought based off of their descriptions alone. This one is Vanishing Girls. So this is a Josie something thriller. I can't read because of the price tag that's over top of it. She was close enough to see that the girl had written a word on the wall in bright, warm red blood. Not a word, actually. A name. Yeah, so there was just like some in the mystery suspense genre that I was really curious about. And for whatever reason, I decided to buy them instead of just getting them from the library. So this one says, the Stop and Go gas station had recently installed flat screen televisions at the gas pumps because people could not possibly take their eyes off a screen long enough to pump gas. Well, that is kind of fitting for the world. Okay, this one I bought for Reika. So this is Dead City, BookTube Blue Moon. So she's currently reading City Spies by this author, James, I don't know how to pronounce his last name. But we got book 1 from the library, and then I realized, oh, this is about zombies. So I'm not really sure how I feel about this. I've never really read anything about zombies before. So I don't know what book, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know about these. Molly Bigelow was sure that zombies didn't exist, and she was definitely 100% positive that her mother was dead. Molly was wrong on both. I don't know. I might read this first. I'm very curious. Go to chapter 1. Oh, the first sentence is, I mean seriously. So, if you've read this, if your kids have read this, let me know. Then I got book 1 and book 2 of York. I made sure to get both the paperbacks, but this one's like a very soft paperback, and this one's kind of like textured bumpy. I thought that was weird. Anyway, so this is The Shadow Cipher and The Clockwork Ghost. So I actually just finished reading this one. So it's kind of steampunk, and there's ciphers involved. I listened to it on audio, and I quite enjoyed book 1. Chapter 1. The true story of any city is never a single tale. It's a vast collection of stories with many different heroes. So I'll read the first sentence of book 1, but I won't read the first sentence of book 2 because I don't like to do spoilers. Although, I guess I did that for this. Not that that was a spoiler. Oh, I should say something about York. One of my friends said that the history in this is not accurate. I don't know. I don't know American history. Like, I barely even know Canadian history. But it didn't feel, I don't know. It didn't really matter to me if the history was inaccurate. But if you're trying to teach your kids history and then it's different in here, I don't know. It might raise some conversations, or it might not like that. I don't know. It took me a long time to listen to this, mostly just because so much other stuff going on. I haven't been listening to things lately, but I just thought I'd throw that disclaimer out there. Okay, a couple more Agatha Christie. This is The Witness for the Prosecution and Other Stories. The Witness for the Prosecution, The Red Signal, The Fourth Man, SOS, Wireless, Mystery of the Blue Jar. There's 10 short stories in here. And yeah. I also got Miss Marple, the complete short stories, so I'm wondering if there's any overlap here. No, it does not look like it. So yeah, because these are short stories, I won't read the first sentence, but I got a bunch of Agatha Christie there. Then I got Halloween Party. This is a Poirot mystery. At a Halloween party, Joyce, a hostile 13-year-old, boasts that she once witnessed a murder. When no one believes her, she storms off home. But within hours, her body is found, still in the house, drowned in an apple bobbing tub. Sounds like a Halloween kind of book. Miss Adrienne Oliver had gone with a friend with whom she was staying, Judith Butler, to help with the preparations for a children's party which was to take place that same evening. That was a really dry first sentence. Okay, another Agatha Christie, The Man in the Brown Suit. This one is not a particular detective. Pretty young Anne came to London looking for adventure. In fact, adventure comes looking for her and finds her immediately at Hyde Park Corner tube station. Anne is present on the platform when a thin man, reeking of mothballs, loses his balance and is electrocuted on the rails. Everybody has been at me, right and left, to write this story, from the greatest, represented by Lord Naseby, to the small, represented by our late maid-of-all-work, Emily, whom I saw when I was last in England. Yeah. Just eventually I want to read all the Agatha Christie, so I thought I would collect the ones I can find. Collect the ones I could find when I find them. There's 2 more Agatha Christie here on the stack. This one's Poirot Investigates. First there was a mystery of the film star and the diamond, then came the suicide, that was murder, mystery of the absurdly cheap flat, and finally the mystery of the missing will. What links these fascinating cases? Only the brilliant detective powers of Hercule Poirot. So is this short stories, or what is this? Okay, no, this is just... Oh, it is! Okay, so these are Poirot short stories. Cool. And judging from what I read there, it doesn't sound like any of these have overlap from my other short stories. Oh, I'm gonna need to do like a month-long Agatha Christie like readathon or something at this rate. And the last one that I have of hers is After the Funeral. It's another Poirot one. When Cora is savagely murdered with a hatchet, the extraordinary remark she made the previous day at her brother Richard's funeral suddenly takes on a chilling significance. At the reading of Richard's will, Cora was clearly heard to say, "It has been hushed up very nicely, hasn't it? But he was murdered, wasn't he?" Old Lanscombe moved totteringly from room to room, pulling up the blinds. Now and then he peered with screwed up, rheumy eyes through the window. Now, a few more books. This is one that I bought that I've never heard of and never read anything by this author, never heard of her. Lady Jane Disappears. When Aurelie's father dies suddenly, he leaves her just 2 things: his famous pen name, Nathaniel Droll, and his wealthy family, who want very little to do with her. Yeah, so it looks like she tries to find out the mystery of her mom who disappeared. I don't know. Another one that I've also randomly picked up, One More River to Cross, Jane Jane Kirkpatrick. Adversity can squelch the human spirit, or it can help us to discover strength we never knew we had. So in 1844, before the Donner Party, the Stephens Murphy Townsend Company leaves Missouri to be the first wagons into California through the Sierra Nevada. They enjoy a safe journey until October, when a fierce mountain snowstorm forces difficult decisions. Yeah, I actually don't even know why I picked this up. It's very much more the historical side, which is not normally the way I go. I have to admit, I may have done a few very early morning shopping sprees when I was feeding the baby, like at like 4 in the morning and stuff, so there's definitely some of that going on, so that might be why I don't remember all of it. I do remember this one. This one sounded good. This is Outbreak. This is a Christian publisher. The danger hasn't passed. It has just changed locations. Something sinister is happening in the waters off the coast of West Africa, trailing death in its wake. The local insurgencies are no longer the only imminent danger, and the panic mounts. But before a global alarm can be sounded, the sea currents shift and the outbreak evaporates. So, yeah, I don't know, it kind of has like pandemic vibes, and it's Christian fiction, and yeah, I did look up, there is more from this author on BookOutlet, but it seemed a little bit more in the romantic suspense genre, so I thought I would try this one first before buying all the books from one author and not reading any of them. Oh, Collision of Lies. See, I've already read this book. I read this earlier this month and really enjoyed it. I talked about it in my mid-month wrap-up. It's about 3 years before the book takes place. There is a train that hits a school bus, and I think it's like 16 kids died. And right at the beginning of the book, the detective, the main character, she talks to a family who actually think that their son didn't die and he was in this accident. And so she starts investigating and things happen. I really liked it, so. And I think it's going to be part of a series. Book 2, oh yeah, I think book 2 actually just came out in February. Then I got Hate That Cat, which is a cute little free verse novel. Well, maybe not cute, this kid really hates cats. It's very short. It's kind of like the companion book to Love That Dog, which I also enjoyed. Sharon Creech. I feel like her books are very popular for middle grade, but I feel like they're quite hit or miss for me, but I liked this one. Did I stop reading the first sentences again? Okay. Lady Jane disappears. It must have been the rain that felt so wrong that day. Nothing more. One more river to cross. For a second day, the company that 17-year-old Mary Sullivan traveled with found sanctuary beside a river edged with willows and rocks in the shadow of the distant mountains. Okay, this one might be a little too literary for me, just judging from the first sentence. Outbreak. Oh, this one could have a really good first sentence. I hope so. Avery Madison was awakened at 11 minutes past midnight by a most unexpected phone call. I mean, that would make me want to keep reading, but I was hoping for like a bigger punch. Collision of Lies. What is this first sentence? This one also has really short chapters, so like you're like, oh yeah, I'll just read one more chapter, and then all of a sudden you finish the book. The first sentence is 30 seconds. Okay, but I have to read the second sentence. If they were still arguing, she'd call the cops then. Hate that cat. I hate that cat, like a dog hates a rat. I said I hate that cat, like a dog hates a rat. Hate to see it in the morning, hate to see that fat black cat. That was all one sentence apparently. Ooh, another book that I recently read. This is The Strangers. And you guys, I accidentally somehow got a signed first edition, so that's cool. This is middle grade, kind of like mystery, almost a little bit sci-fi, with some codes and ciphers. These kids, 3 siblings, Chess, Emma, and Finn, come home from school one day to their mom watching the news, and it turns out that 3 kids with their same names and birthdays that look very similar to them have disappeared from Arizona, I think, or something. And then the next day their mom disappears and they try to find her. So this first chapter is from Finn's perspective. The 3 Greystone kids always raced each other home when they got off the school bus, and Finn always won. I have the second book out from the library right now that I would like to read this month, but I'm not sure that will happen. Then I have the second case closed. Unfortunately, this one's hardcover and my other one's paperback, but this is stolen from the studio. It kind of bothers me when books, you know, are, when I don't own a set that is like all hardcover or all paperback, but at this price point, I can't really be that picky. Are we there yet? Frank asks for the billionth time. Yeah, Frank is not my favorite character. But these books have like cool like things to solve depending if you get to those pages. So we haven't got to a puzzle page so far with my kids with the book we've been reading, but I think they'll have a lot of fun when we do. And the last two books are Mrs. Smith's Spy School for Girls book. This one's book 2, Power Play, and book 3, Double Cross. My daughter read book 1 and really enjoyed it. I really don't know what it's about other than like what the title says. It sounds like something I would have really liked as a kid. Let's just read chapter 1, or the first sentence. There is no way the alarm code for the McKinsey House dormitory door is wrong. And let's just do book 2 for fun. I don't know if I would read these ones myself, but if you want to be a spy and possibly save the world, you have to practice. But I definitely think I would have liked them as a kid, and I know my daughter, yeah, enjoyed book 1. So that stack is way up there from the floor. I got a lot of books, and I've been reading less, so I need to slow down with the book buying, and I will. But I have actually read either a number of these already, or some of them are just for my kids, so there's not as many unread books on the stack as it appears. Oh, I almost knocked it down. Okay, so I filmed that previous clip yesterday, and then this morning the doorbell rings and more books got dropped off from BookOutlet, so I'm gonna quickly show them to you. I have a baby in the room, so there's gonna be some background noise. So here's the stack that arrived today. Good thing I didn't have to like put this on top of the other stack at the beginning of the clip, because that would have been difficult. So the first thing is, this is a Always Enough, Never Too Much 100 Devotions by Jess Connolly and Haley Morgan. They're devotions to quit comparing, stop hiding, and start living wild and free. And I do not normally go for these like kind of like one-page devotional type things. This one's actually kind of different. So this half of the book is Always Enough, and this half of the book is Never Too Much. At first I thought like the words were upside down and that's why this was from BookOutlet, but then I read the introduction. The 50 Always Enough devotions will remind you that Jesus is mighty in you and his grace is overwhelming, covering all your insecurities and fears and hurts and what ifs. When you feel like you're over the top, too emotional, or too driven, flip to the never too much side, and they will inspire you to use the ways our Creator God made you for your good and his glory. Yeah, I don't normally do this kind of thing, but I thought maybe in this season this might not be a bad option. And the baby's totally gonna smack her face. There we go, saved her. She's like mostly sitting, but like doesn't quite know her bounds and almost fell over into a chair. Then I got, oh yeah, right, I'm not gonna read the first sentence of these because it's kind of like short stories. Then I got Terry Blackstock's Catching Christmas. If you watched like my videos around Christmas time, you'll know that I really enjoyed this. It's a little bit more on the cheesy side and predictable, but it's pretty much like if Luke Danes from Gilmore Girls was a cab driver, this would be kind of like his Christmas story. The first sentence is, oh yeah, this book like made me laugh a lot. I'm not a violent man, but I have a dozen reasons for pulling my cab over and throwing the chattering man in my backseat onto the curb. Yeah, I don't know, this book just like made me laugh because he was really grumpy and I don't know, I liked his humor, I guess. Oh, then I saw a book that I've never seen on BookOutlet before. This is The Bones Will Speak by Carrie Stewart Parks, and this is actually book 2 after the one that I read, A Cry from the Dust. So I don't even know what this one's about, but we follow Gwen, who is a forensic scientist, forensic artist, I believe. It says, a killer with a penchant for torture has taken notice of forensic expert Gwen and her daughter. So I think there's 4 books in this series, and I'm excited that they had another one and it actually was book 2, so I can continue on in order. Oh wait, first sentence. Oh, this is April 15th, 5 years later. So should we do 5 years later? Should we do prologue? Let's do prologue. The bomb killed 4 people. That's the first sentence. Then the book Dead City that I talked about earlier, this is City Spies. So this is the book that Rika's currently reading. It's about a girl who's a hacker. She recently broke into New York City's juvenile justice system to expose her foster parents as cheats and lawbreakers. However, instead of being hailed as a hero, she finds herself facing years in a juvenile detention facility and banned from using computers. Enter Mother, a British spy who not only gets Sarah released from jail, but also offers her a chance to make a home for herself within a secret team of young M16 agents. Oh, MI6. That looked like a 1. MI6 agents. Yeah, that sounds like another one that I would really like as a kid. Chapter 1 is called A Man Called Mother. Sarah looked at the water stain on the wall and imagined it was an island. So Rika's been reading this and really enjoying it. Then this next one is probably one of the most recommended books. You guys have been recommending this book to me so much, and I didn't want to buy books from this one author, but it's by 2 authors, so I thought I would give it a try since it was on BookOutlet, and that is The Girl Behind the Red Rope. So with my interest in books that involve cults, lots of people have recommended this. 10 years ago, Grace saw something that would forever change the course of history. When a terrible scourge is unleashed on the world, she and others from their religious community are already hidden deep in the hills of Tennessee, abiding by every rule that will keep them safe. Safe, pure, and alive, as long as they stay there behind the red rope. So, yeah, this is a Ted Dekker book, but it's also, I'm assuming that's his daughter, Rochelle Dekker. I'm definitely curious about it. In a world where boundaries are clear and punishments severe, a young woman risks everything to break free from the system of fear and control to find freedom and love. Yeah, I pretty much over Ted Dekker, but you guys have recommended this so many times that I'll give that one a try. Then I got 2 more books by Terry Blackstock. I got Last Light and True Light, which are books 1 and 3 in the Restoration series. I don't even know if I've read this series. I kind of just want to collect all her books for the most part. Doug Browning's mind raced to understand. Planes were falling out of the sky, crashing and burning. Oh, it kind of sounds like the end of the world, maybe? Birmingham, Alabama has lost all power. Its streets are jammed with cars that won't start. Its airport engulfed in flames from burning planes. All communications, cell phones, computers, even radios are silent. Every home and business is dark. Is it a natural disaster, a terrorist attack, or something far worse? So we'll just read chapter 1 of this one. The first sentence out of the first book, and then I forgot to do it out of the other one again because that's what I do. Denny, I think that's maybe the name, Browning stepped down onto the tarmac, pulled out the handle of her carry-on, and glanced back up at her dad. That is a pretty lame sentence for a book that sounds interesting. This one, it was hot that day in the hills of Tennessee. Also a fairly lame first sentence, but oh, then I got The Man He Never Was. This is by James L. Rupert. This was the first book of his that I read, and I really enjoyed it. It's very Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde-esque. It's about a man who was kind of like a terrible husband and maybe all-around person, and he wakes up one day and has forgotten, I don't know, the last few months or years of his life, and he kind of gets a second chance. I really liked the concept, so I've been buying more of his books. The first sentence to this one is, Torrin Daniels rolled over in bed and light pierced his closed eyelids, which meant 5 a.m. had come and gone. So I got another one of his. The Long Journey to Jake Palmer. What if there was a place where everything wrong in your life could be fixed? Corporate trainer Jake Palmer coaches people to see deeper into themselves, yet he barely knows himself anymore. Recently divorced and weary of the business life, Jake reluctantly agrees to go to a lake house vacation with his friends, hoping to escape for 10 days. I'm assuming things happen, but I don't like to read too much here. If Jake Palmer had only kept the mundane promise he made to himself, his life wouldn't be headed down a dead-end road at the speed of light. And we'll try to do these with the baby in my arms. Like that. Okay. Oh, I'm really excited about this one. I've gotten this from the library before for the kids. And yeah, it's The Faithful Spy. A true story, Dietrich Bonhoeffer and the Plot to Kill Hitler. And this is by John Hendricks. He wrote The Miracle Man, which is a really beautifully illustrated and written picture book. So this is the story of Bonhoeffer, but it's graphic novel form. And well, it's not even it's kind of graphic novel, but then also kind of partly chapter book. I love this kind of format and it really grabs the kids' attention. So I was so excited to find this on BookOutlet. And this other one, I have no idea how I even came across this because I wasn't looking for it, but I've been looking for this book for years. And that is Then Sings My Soul. This is 150 of the world's greatest hymn stories. I guess I didn't read the first sentence of the Bonhoeffer book. So my choir teacher in high school would read one of these to us each morning before we had choir. And yeah, there's 150 stories. How long are they? So they've got the actual song with the music, and then the story of how it was written or about the person. They're just like 1-page long stories. And I remember him reading the story of It Is Well, and just the pain that that man went through, and the moment he was in when he wrote that song, and that's just always stuck with me. So I would like to do this with my kids. Yeah, so I'm excited to have found this. Once again, it's a short story, so I'm not going to read the first sentence, but let's try The Faithful Spy. Are you trying to help me here? I guess this is kind of cool. This is a cool first sentence. It says, "This is Diedrich," but this is the first page. Oh, you're noisy. Okay, so now that officially ends my book haul. So I have only read one of the books that I got in this package today, but overall I did have read quite a few of the books in this last haul, but definitely going to be slowing down my book buying in the next little while since my book reading has also slowed down. But I would love to hear which books you're most excited for me to read so that I can kind of prioritize those ones. And thanks so much for all your suggestions and everything, guys. I always appreciate that. Thanks for watching.